What's up, guys? Welcome to my complete guide on Volcano. All the main things I'll be covering are on the screen, and this will be a comprehensive guide containing a lot of details beyond find part here. Given this, I have organized the timestamps in the description in such a way that those of you who just want to know how to do the Easter eggs and find things easily can skip right to those sections. Let's get into it. To get started, it's important to understand the perk system that the map has. There is a perk system that is in two layers. Essentially, one layer is static perks that are spawned in the map when you load up. The other layer is Nuketown style perks that get launched out of the volcano there. The static perks are all going to be underneath the map. They're all going to be in the underground areas, the facility, and the caves. The Nuketown style launch perks, they're going to all be up top here. The 5 static perks are Stamina Up, Mule Kick, Deadshot Daiquiri, Elemental Pop, and PhD Flopper. Not a whole lot of core perks in that list, as those are all launched out of the volcano. With the exception of Quick Revive, which spawns every game in the first round, either over there or where it is in this game here. The rest will spawn at regular intervals, with the last one landing low to mid-20s. And those are Speed Cola, Double Tap 2, Time Slip, Electric Cherry, and, of course, Juggernog, which is the painful one. In a complex map that has challenge round zombies and napalms, not having Jug until 20s can hurt. The mapper did something to mitigate the consequence of that, though, in that he added this little Easter egg, this hard hat helmet Easter egg, that essentially gives you a little bit of extra health. It'll take your health from 100 to 150, which essentially will give you an extra hit from a zombie. Not amazing if you're playing till around 25 without Jug, but it does give you a bit of a buffer. So to unlock this, it's relatively simple. You are going to be looking for pots like this, and you're going to be looking for the ones that have the blue in it like that. There are 7 total pots around the map, and that actually they're all localized to this area, so you don't have to go very far to find those. And what you need to do whenever you find one of the 4 that has blue in it, just drop a nade inside, and that gets rid of the blue. Take a look after you do this also, because some of these, the triggers are janky. Here's a second one right out back here. So we have 1 inside, 1 in the little alley behind it. The 3rd one is right around the corner here. No blue there. 4th one is right here by the PM63. The 5th one is right back here. No blue there. So the last 2 are going to have the blue inside those. 1 up here on the roof. And then the other one back here, which in my experience is the most janky. Sometimes this takes even 3 grenades. Let's see. Oops. So that jingle means we got it. Now you have a little bit extra health, which is very helpful. So next, let's talk about power. Power is down below in these hallways in the underground facility area. This map does have a buildable power system, so the table to build it is here. It's going to end up right there once it's built. There are 3 parts you got to collect. Total of 19 locations, but all of them are in this area here, and the logic behind them is actually pretty sound. I appreciate that a lot. So the first part is a zombie arm, and the zombie arm is going to spawn on this metal platform here, or that metal platform over there. It will always be in one of these 4 corners on this side, There it is there. So any one of these corners here, or 3 of the 4 over here. So it can be in this one here, or this one here. The next piece is, let's do the power panel. It's the biggest and most easiest one to see. It's going to be on this side of the bridge. Over here, there's going to be 4 locations for it. There is one right under here, one in the back here corner. There it is. There's one more leaning up against those 3 barrels. And one more behind here in the shadows up against that crate. 2 more are going to be over here. One is up against the wall in this area here, and the other is way down here at the end, just leaning up right there. As for the lever is now going to be on this side of the bridge. Over here there's going to be 2. One of the spots is there. Another spot is there. Right over here there are going to be 3 more. Right there, against the cardboard box, and against this crate. And you'll notice I've just done 5 lever parts locations, and I don't have it yet. That's because the mapper broke the logic for this one, and he put the last location in the middle of the bridge. So there are 7 zombie arm parts. All of them are going to be on these platforms, this side or that side. There are 6 power panel parts. All of them are going to be on that side of the bridge. 4 on this end and 2 on that end, and then 6 lever parts on that side of the bridge, 2 over there, 3 here, and 1 there. You build it here, activate it there, and that's it. So next, let's look at Packapunch, and Packapunch is right in this room here. It's kind of across the hallway, kitty corner to the power room. And this is the soul box. So all you need to do for this is just get zombies close to it, fill this soul box up, and then once you have that, Pack-a-Punch will be active. Now, the number of zombies that this takes is not static. It changes from game to game. I've had it as low as 79 and as high as almost 100. I think the highest I've had is 98. I don't know the exact numbers for this, but that is the seeming range, 70s to about 100-ish. Watch out for that bomb there. Yep. Just get these guys close and fill this up. And there's the cue that you're done there. Oh, thanks, buddy. As soon as you finish that, though, you got access to Pack-a-Punch, provided that you have turned on power already. This next thing I want to cover really quick is just a simple thing that I really just want to throw in here now that the basic setup has been covered. It can be a real annoyance if you don't know about it, but basically all over this map are places that use a slide-off mechanic to prevent players from standing on certain objects. As you can see, there are a bunch of them up here on the roof, preventing you from standing on the sides. It also hits when you slide off. And there is another prominent one at this pallet board that you'll probably hit a lot. And then another one down the trail here. And the weirdest one I found back here, for some reason. So long story short, when you hit one of these, your game can bug out and that audio can get stuck, which will make you go insane. If this happens to you, simply hit the slide mechanic again and it will clear it. Next, let's look at a unique mechanic introduced in this map, namely artillery. The artillery is located in the area adjacent to the spawn room inside this little building on the desk right here. It cannot be purchased until round 5, and while you can choose to use it as early as round 5, it gets expensive fast, as the first use is 500 points, but every use thereafter jumps to 3,500. To use this, simply buy it, equip it, and then put the flare marker on the ground where you want the epicenter of the artillery barrage to be. Then, over the course of the next minute or so, upwards of 40 artillery shells will land around an area roughly as large as the area the artillery building is in. Now be careful though. If you choose to use this before you have PhD Flopper, you're kinda asking for trouble because each shell has a max damage of 15,000 per direct hit, along with an area of effect that will be hit with splash damage. Without PhD Flopper, you're kinda asking just to die. There isn't a whole lot else to say about this, but before moving on to the next section, let's talk a little bit about the efficacy of using this in a real game. When I recorded the first version of this guide, I misunderstood the actual effect of the artillery shells because I ordinarily play with graphic content disabled. Because of that, I always saw zombies go from standing up whole to dead, and so I thought this would one-shot zombies into the 30s. It does not. In fact, it only one-shots a zombie in low rounds and only if it direct hits them, so the best use case of this in a real game is just for chip damage if you use a camping strategy you can funnel zombies through, or perhaps a training strategy in a large area when you have the artillery barrage going. But given how many crawlers this will make, any training strategy in the actual artillery barrage is almost more dangerous than it's worth, given the low efficacy of the artillery shells themselves. Perhaps if they were a bit more concentrated, this would be more useful, but as it is kind of just a way to save ammo during insta-kills, or for chip damage in the later rounds. Next, let's take a few moments to talk about the Denizens. The Denizens in this map largely act like the Shangri-La monkeys, with a few differences, but primarily when a power-up drops, one of these will spawn. You can then let it convert the power-up to whatever you want, shoot the Denizen, and then you get what you want. Now, the real power of this is that you can take any power-up and convert it into a max ammo, and on maps like this that don't have special rounds like dogs or monkeys, that is very valuable. But there are a couple quirks of this enemy that are useful to know about. First, they take 300 points each time they hit you, and they will attack you if you pick up a power-up after one of them is coming for it. So, if you've ever noticed yourself inexplicably poor after a Denizen claws your feet, that would be why. Second, you are not stuck with only one Denizen per drop. There is a big caveat to this that we will talk about next, but just be aware that after you get the drop you want and kill the Denizen that came for it, another Denizen will be on its way to steal it soon if you aren't careful. But as I was saying, you can leave a power-up on the map for basically as long as your little heart desires, because Denizens will keep coming for it unless there's a hidden cap after 20 or something. And as long as you let the Denizen grab the drop even for a second, its timer resets so you can have it sitting on the map for over 2 minutes, as was the case with this double points. And you can use this to your advantage if you want to work for it a little bit. For example, you could use this mechanic to delay picking up a poorly timed drop toward the end of the round. Let the first Denizen grab the drop, kill it, finish the round, then let the next Denizen reset the drop timer, kill it, maybe another Denizen after that if you need, and then pick it up when ready in the following round. Or you can use the extra Denizens to feed a few extra kills into the Packapunch soul box, as I'm doing here. Next, in order for them to spawn in, they need an available AI slot. This can get a bit technical, but functionally this means that if the game is ever in a state where a race condition can occur between spawning a zombie and spawning a Denizen, the zombie will almost always win. Practically speaking, there are only 2 conditions that will cause this to occur. The first is if you only kill one zombie at a time, while the max zombies permitted are already on the map. In this case, let's say you kill exactly one zombie and that zombie drops a power-up. The next zombie due will essentially outrace the Denizen spawn request, and you won't get a Denizen. And when the first Denizen spawn request fails, the game will not continue to request a spawn, so no Denizen will come for that particular power-up. But let's face it, nobody progresses rounds by just killing one zombie at a time, so this one is relatively rare. The second situation will also be fairly uncommon, but it can be very frustrating when it happens because it happens once you reach high rounds, and it can be the difference between trading or continuing the game unabated. Essentially, when the zombie spawn frequency reaches its peak and you kill an entire horde of zombies that leaves you a power-up, the entire next horde can outrace the denizen, so no denizen will spawn in this situation either. However, because of the weapons this map offers, this will also tend to be uncommon. Worth knowing about nonetheless. So next we'll talk about the AL-55, which is the map-specific weapon, kind of a wonder weapon. Very unique, very creative, very fun to use. I really like it. It is quite powerful. It gives drops. Good support weapon. It won't carry you super deep, but it'll get you to 30 fairly simply. To unlock it, though, there are going to be 5 button locations that randomize with 3 buttons per game, just spread across those 5 locations. This is location 1. You just go up to it, activate that, and that is back in this little alcove right across from Packapunch. Second location will be right here on the wall. It's not there at the moment. Third location is in here next to these lockers. There's another one in here past power, or not past power itself, but in power. And you can activate it climbing through. There it is here. The last location is right up here. It's right next to Deadshot Daiquiri. The triggers are very close, so be careful not to buy Deadshot Daiquiri accidentally. And you just come up here, and here it is. Now, I'll start off by pointing out that if you want to, you can absolutely save all your early round points and just straight line this thing. But when you do that, while you can have it as early as round 4, as you see here, be advised that when you pick this up, you begin a countdown to challenge rounds. You will begin seeing challenge zombies 2 rounds after you pick this up. We'll talk a little more about this soon, though. This thing shoots little cannonballs, and these will bounce off objects like so. When it hits a zombie, though, it will stick to them for a second before it explodes, and that explosion, which kind of behaves like the scavenger on Call of the Dead, will kill all zombies or damage all zombies within its blast radius. It's pretty powerful as well. Even the non-Pack-a-Punch version will kill efficiently through the early rounds. Regarding the Pack-a-Punch version, aka Balls, it behaves the same as the unpacked AL-55, but it has higher damage and a much bigger blast radius. Even so, it will only one-shot hordes through round 30, after which it becomes essentially the Thundergun's best support weapon for forcing drops in high rounds. And lastly, this will slow you down while you're carrying it, so I would highly recommend using Stamina Up, and it will also do damage to you, so PhD is pretty much a must for this weapon. Another pretty cool addition to the map is an Easter egg that grants you the ray gun. This can be done as early as round 5 or any round thereafter, but it's important to note that this can only be done if you have a full loadout, and that everything you have in your loadout when you do it will be taken away. If you have the Thunder Gun and the AL-55, gone. If you just have the starting pistol and the Olympia, gone too, but so will be your ability to use Mustang and Sally for the rest of the game. The Easter egg itself is quite simple. All you have to do is buy the artillery, activate it, make sure you have a full loadout, and then buy another gun. And once Samantha finishes robbing you, you'll get the ray gun. Now, it doesn't matter whether you have a 2-gun loadout or a mule kick loadout, provided your weapon slots are all full. If they aren't, you will simply add whatever gun you pick up to your inventory. If this happens, no problem, just equip the artillery again and buy another gun. Once you do that, then Samantha will finally take your loadout and you'll be given the ray gun. There are some rather significant consequences you need to be aware of when getting the free ray gun. Number 1, you will lose the artillery for the rest of the game. While primarily a mechanic that offers chip damage help throughout the game, you will not be able to use it after you do this. Number 2, similarly to collecting the AL-55, doing this will trigger challenge rounds to begin 2 rounds after you get the free ray gun. Consequently, if you do this at the earliest possible round, you will be dealing with challenge round zombies while you complete basic tasks like turning on power and activating Packapunch. And if you don't care about any of those things, well, doing this too early can just straight up kill you, if you aren't careful. And finally, the big one, Volcano Challenge Rounds. In the natural course of the game, these can begin as early as round 23 and as late as round 26, although collecting either the AL-55 or the free ray gun will cause them to begin early. Now, challenge rounds boast zombies that have an additional 135% of health, or in other words, multiply the health of a normal zombie by 2.35. To give you a numerical example of this, a round 15 zombie ordinarily has 1,679 health. But a round 15 challenge round zombie has 3,946 health. On top of that, these zombies will do more damage to you, dealing about 45% more damage than a standard zombie will. For another numerical example, a Nova Crawler typically deals 45 damage per hit, but a challenge round Nova will deal 65 damage per hit. As you can see already, challenge rounds are significantly more dangerous than typical rounds. Now, while there is no explicit challenge round jingle indicating that a challenge round is starting, there are a couple clear indications that a new round is a challenge round. The first is Nova Crawlers spawning in. Nova Crawlers are not a typical enemy on this map, and since they only spawn in during challenge rounds, any appearance of them means you are in a challenge round. The second is an orange glow around some of the zombies you see. This is also how you will know which zombies in the round have adopted the higher health and damage stats, because all the zombies in a challenge round are not given the increased stats. But when you see the orange glow, you're in a challenge round. And while napalm zombies are not intended to receive the challenge buffs, as you can see here, sometimes they do, and that gives them a staggering amount of health and kinetic damage against you. And as you can tell from the health chart on the screen, it is a thankful thing that there are other ways to eliminate them than by just shooting them all day. And the final indication that a challenge round has begun is the sound when the challenge round barrels spawn. The spawn audio for these is the same as Hellhounds on Vanilla Zombies maps. While the barrels only spawn above ground, you can still hear them spawn while you are in the map's underground. When a challenge round begins, exploding barrels will begin spawning and dropping from the sky. These are packed with the value of 23,000 damage, and you can use them to kill or damage zombies near them. These drop into the map at several random locations every 30 seconds, after which they will only be on the ground for about 10 or 15 seconds before exploding on their own. This means that if you want to actually try to use these to help with challenge rounds, you need to hang out in an area where these spawn, because you will not have much time to navigate to them if they spawn elsewhere. Additionally, between 2 and 4 will spawn at a time, and there are a total of 6 locations they can spawn to. However, multiple barrels can drop to the same location, and when you are able to take advantage of instances like this, you can wipe hordes with the barrels pretty deep into the game. Finally, if you did trigger challenge rounds early, these exploding barrels will be absent until round 15. But from round 15 onward, they will spawn in normally on challenge rounds. Oh, and these will absolutely hurt you, so make sure you have PhD Flopper. That may just be the only necessary perk on this map. There are 6 spawn locations for the exploding barrels, and the first 3 are close together in the relatively open bottom part of the map. The first location is in the middle of the spawn room. The second is right outside the back door of the artillery, tucked between the room and the perk location. The third is right below the artillery room near the MPL. Now, the close proximity of these 3 barrels makes this the ideal spot to play challenge rounds if you want to maximize barrel use. The 4th spot is in one of the riskiest spots on the entire map, and that is back here in the alley. And the final 2 are up on top of the mountain, with the 5th spot right at the top of the trail here. And the 6th spot is over here by the Call of the Dead room. To put the finishing touches on this section, there is one more primary thing to know about challenge rounds so that it doesn't take you by surprise when you encounter it. You get no drops during challenge rounds. Zero, zilch, nada. Now for most of us, that is a minor inconvenience, but for high rounders, that creates a whole new complication for the late game because while the zombies are tankier and they hit harder, there is no power-up help to be had. And now you know everything you need to know about Volcano. So now, let's look at a thing or two that you don't need to know. Alright, at several places around the map you can deploy an LMG, specifically the Packapunched HK-21 and the RPK. Now, this ability is not very useful because the triggers are so buggy and some of the locations are not very good, but there is one location that is kind of useful and actually pretty easy to do. However, doing this does not give you infinite ammo or anything like that, so I'd put these in the category of pure novelty. Fun to know about, potentially worthy of running some challenges, but not really useful at all in a real game. To begin, there are a few down in power. You just saw one of them, here is the second. And then the third is right over here. The fourth is right in here above PhD. And actually, this one could be fairly useful as well. If you leave the door to your left closed here, you could just have somebody manning the LMG here blasting away at the door and the hole in the wall. The fifth is up here at the top of the trail. This one is not useful at all because if you try to use this one, you're just going to get smacked in the butt. And the last one I'm aware of is by far the best because it's the easiest to do and it allows you to hit the most targets. It's right up here on the roof.